Week been? Everyone have a good trading week. Loads of opportunities were present on many different assets. 4 W, 0 L's. What a good week. Yo, what's good? How's everyone doing? Man, lucky I just woke up. Just check the charts. -1R, no problem. As long as the risk was managed, we're good. Waited all Saturday for the webinar. You're hyped. Let's go, bro. Let's go. All right. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the gold market. We're going to go through NQ and just a few other pairs that I have looked at that have shown clean price action. We'll start off with gold. And any questions, guys, let me know in the chat. I'll go through the questions. So we'll structure the webinar. So we'll go through the PA. Feel free to put your questions in and any charts you may have. And then after I've gone through dissecting PA, we can look back at any assets you want to look at, etc. So let's make a start. So gold is in a very weird place. I am bearish on gold. I've been bearish on gold since the start of the week. Now, why am I bearish on gold? So you can see how we've come into this area multiple times. Okay, we have trapped some buyers. Now, what I was looking for going into this week, so when I was looking at my forecasts on Sunday for this week, what I initially wanted was this. You can see we have an LB above, and I wanted price to come above these highs. Okay, so I was looking for a move up, inducing buyers, and then trapping them. Now, we didn't get that this week. So if we look at what happened, just clear up my. So if you look at what happened here, you can see how we gapped up on Monday. Okay, we are in an area which is with engineered liquidity. So essentially what we did was we reacted to this candle from the left and moved away. So we now have liquidity above there. I am bullish on gold to these highs. And then Tuesday, you can see Wednesday, we had that sell-off. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday, there were short opportunities available. And then Thursday, after we came and took Thursday's low, so last week, Thursday's low, we've had that bullish move up ever since. So, just looking at how to analyze price on the higher time frame will give you a good indication what to look for the next day. So to show you what I'm talking about here, if we go to, let's say, the 1 hour. Now, you can see how we are in an LB area. So we are reacting to an LB from the left. So you can anticipate reactions. Which LB am I talking about? I am talking about this. So this whole area, okay, you can anticipate reactions from. Now, if you were quick on Monday, was it Monday? No, it was Tuesday. So look at what we did. So we came into this area, we induced sellers, and then we trap them. Okay, so what have we done here? Okay, we've essentially formed an LB. So we induced sellers and trapped them. So I can just mark that whole area out. And because we induced buyers on the way up, these reactions to the low would be false. Now, we had that bullish move up. Now, think of the build up we have here of sellers. If I just mark out a candle, you can see where that build up started from. We took that high. Now, that is actually an entry. that's a nice entry, in fact, because we have a liquidity block to support our trade. I would have taken this if I was on the charts this short here, covered my SL at that liquidity block. Now this would have been an advanced trade. This is with engineered liquidity. Like I said, because we've taken this low from the left, okay, anything to this left side, okay, of PA is going to give us false reactions. So anticipating that, I would have taken that trade, okay. And where do I see liquidity? You can see, okay, where price has respected the lows multiple times, i.e. here's just 1 point of liquidity, and I would have just held if I was on a CFD account, okay, and that would have been the trade for the week, to be honest with you. Now that was on Tuesday. If we zoom into PA, you can see this a bit clearer. So here's your LB. This is where the build up, look at that build up, okay, started. We came up Tuesday New York, we even trapped after as well. You could have entered there, okay, and covered your SL above. Now if you were taking this on a futures prop account, I would have partialed here. I would have partialed here anyway. So partialed there, okay, and then left the rest to the lows, okay. Now that was on Tuesday, so you can see how Monday all we did was build liquidity. Tuesday comes, takes that liquidity out in New York, and we start to have that sell-off. Now that sell-off, okay, so you can see how we have a clear target to the left, okay, we have a clear target to the left. This is liquidity that we can target, okay, clear liquidity point to target. Now on Wednesday there were opportunities in London and New York to short back down. So even though we've taken this low from the left, okay, where are we? Yeah, so even though we've taken this low from the left, you can see what the market starts to do. It starts to build liquidity at these lows. So I'll just mark it out here. So these lows here, and we come and we take out that inducement high, okay, so we come and take out that inducement high. Now am I going to trust that this is the high that we take out and move away? No. So what I would have waited for was an LB to form, which we can see here. We induce sellers and then we take these sellers out. Now ideally if we took that high out, it would have been even better. We don't take that high out, and then this is quite a risky trade, to be honest. I would have drawn my LB out, okay, and then you can see how we have a build up of early sellers. We come and we respect where buyers are induced from, and then we come and take some internal. Now we didn't come and take out that high, but am I gonna not wait for like not even a tick? So I would have just taken it as soon as we took some internal. And then covered the SL, and then I would have just taken it down to this liquidity below, okay, so for a 1 to 4.92. so that's on Wednesday during London session. So anyone who was awake for London and trades London, that could have been a trade you could have taken on gold. And then approaching New York, you can see how we still have our target to the left intact. Okay, what does price do? it comes, it respects this low multiple times. Okay, so we have liquidity there now. So it respects that low and we move away. Okay, we come and we take that inducement high. Okay, so we come and take that inducement high. Now I'll go to the 1 minute to show this, because this is my bread and butter. This is clean. Okay, so we come and take these highs to the left, inducing buyers. We respect this trap area, so this whole area, okay, to the lows is a trap. So we come respect it. You can see how we come into this, respect it, and we move away. We form an LB, so induce sellers. Whoops. So we induce sellers, trap them. So that forms your LB. Okay, so if I just mark that out. Okay, so there's your LB. And then before we tap into that LB again, we trap again. Okay, induce sellers, trap them. Now that, okay, is a clean setup. Okay, that is a clean setup, and you would have partialed at these lows here. So partial at these lows, 1 to 7, and then hold to these lows. Okay, an amazing gold trade. And then we come and we take out that liquidity. You could have even held, I just wanted to collect my profits for the day and that's it, but you could have held to target. Okay, and then you can see we come and we take that liquidity out. So we've now induced sellers. In doing so, we've left loads of liquidity, okay, to the highs, which you guys can see. Okay, so all of this is liquidity. Even above here we have liquidity. So just zooming out, you can see where we are in terms of the higher time frame. We've now come and we have trapped those early buyers, induced sellers. Now there was a LB to the left. If you were looking to take a higher time frame entry, I wouldn't have been confident in this, but nonetheless still valid, where we induced buyers and then trapped them. So after that green line's taken, we've trapped those buyers. Look what we did before, we induced buyers and then trapped. You could have held this, so once that low was taken, stop loss at the lows, and then you could have literally just taken this, and I would be holding this all the way back up to the highs. Okay, now that could have been like a swing position up, but we'll see what we did on Thursday. So Thursday, what did we do? I'll just clear my charts because it's getting a little bit messy. So what did we do on Thursday? So as I was saying, we came in and we took these lows, inducing sellers. Now, where is our point of liquidity? Okay, now firstly, you can see how this high is a point of liquidity. Why? Because we respect and we move away. Okay, so there is now liquidity above there. So what does the market do? It comes and hunts for that liquidity. Okay, it takes that high out. By taking that high out, we've now induced buyers. So what do we want to see? We want to see buyers trapped. Now, because we've induced buyers here, you can look for sell positions on Friday, but it would have had to be to this low here. Okay, you wouldn't want to be selling past that. Okay, and so I do think there was an opportunity over here. Let me just have a look. So we take that high out, we come lower, and then we trap. So 4, we trap. That could have been an LB, but we don't get a follow through up. Nothing clean, to be honest. I mean, by taking those highs out, these are all trap areas. Oh, okay, this is an LB. We induce lower, so we induce lower, and then we come up to trap. So if I just take that from low to high, okay, and then we induce sellers, we respect that low, respect it again. Okay, yeah, you could have taken this, to be honest. I would have just lowered my risk if you really wanted to get in to a trade on a Friday. I mean, I wouldn't have taken this, but still valid to these lows. So I would have taken it to these lows, and yeah, that's what I would have done on Friday. Guys, just give me, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, on Friday we would have taken that short to so 1 to 4.8. However, the real trade, which is something that I didn't see and I could have looked back on, is how we've induced buyers by taking out this green line, and then we trap them at the lows, and what we have at the lows is an LB, a very clean LB as well. This LB here, okay, I would have literally taken it the minute we tapped into that LB. Stop loss below, and just targeted this high if you was on a futures prop account, okay, and that would have ended your trading week. So that was pretty much the gold market summarized up. Now I would be holding all the way to, you can see how we have these highs here, these highs here, okay, as a target. And that is the gold market, everyone. Any questions on that, please feel free to put in the chat now. We can go through them. Sijit, I'll look at your charts in a second. Before getting into who got induced, what a training method I should do for daily bias. Go to the replay tool on TradingView, go to the 4-hour random bar, mark out your liquidity points and bias, and keep doing that repeatedly until you start getting the daily bias correct. Yeah, I do think so, Mike. I do want to see higher prices on gold for sure. Yep, that's correct, Lawrence. Would that be a valid trade? Then we respected that one, LB. I'm not sure. Oh, you're trading the gold chart. I'm not sure because it looks slightly different on mine. GABA, let me just have a look on mine. Yeah, so after we've taken that, maybe. I don't think we return back to here though. I don't think we return back to here. Can we say gold move to inducement from left above inducement high? Yep. Ray, yeah, I can go through that bread and butter, the one that I said was a bread and butter. I can go through that one again. So if I just clear my charts, okay, so it was on a Wednesday, If I just zoom in so you can see. Let me just find it. Kind of lost it right here. So why is it a bread and butter? Because you have engineered liquidity at the lows. We've tapped into it and moved away, taken out the inducement high. In fact, I'll go to lower time frame so you can see it better. So we come and took that inducement high. Okay, so we've induced buyers. Anything from the lows is a trap now. So we stay above there. Okay, so think about who's induced here. Buyers, right? You have an LB. Okay, I'm sure you can see it on the lower time frame, but that's an LB. Now I would have marked that LB out. Okay, and then if I go even lower, okay, so there's the LB. So price should not revisit that area above there. And then all we're looking for is a trap. So we induce sellers here at the low. We come above and we trap them. Okay, there's your entry. You could have also taken it, if I just move this along, you could have also taken it where we've induced sellers here and then we come up to the high and take that high. Same thing. Okay, so you could have taken it there as well. So that's your short. Anything above there, your SL being covered at these highs, and then you would have taken it all the way down to your target. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah, I'm hoping that makes sense. Hardik, I mean, I can't go through all of it again. Just rewatch the recording. Okay, buy said valid because price took inducement high and left liquidity to the downside. Oh, we're looking at different charts here. Yeah, you could have taken that. No, I'm not using no fib levels. It's not a fib. Thanks. Okay, cool. Alright guys, so that was gold. I'm hoping that was clear. Alright. So we'll move on to NQ, because there were some clean stuff on NQ. So that was pretty much gold. Now why did I say that gold's in a weird space? Because ideally we want the lows gone, but we want to induce higher before we take out those lows. So just mark these levels out on your charts, okay, and see what happens going into this week. I am looking for gold to be bullish, take out previous weekly high, hopefully take out the high from the left, and then hopefully we can have that run down. We'll see, okay. Any last questions on gold? Gabba, I don't understand your question. I wouldn't trade the LB with structure. That's just how I mark out my LBs. Okay, let's look at NQ. Alright, so NQ, you can see how we've taken lows from the left, okay, on NQ. So you can see that low was taken, inducing sellers. I'll just zoom out so you guys can see this. So we took this low from the left, inducing sellers, okay, and ever since, okay, we've started building to the highs. Now what did we do? We came all the way up okay, we induced buyers to the highs, and then we came to trap them. Okay, now if you can see from the left, this whole area is an LB. I'll mark it out so you guys can see it. This whole area is an LB. Okay, you can see how we induced buyers and trapped them. So that whole candle wick is an LB. So if I go to lower time frames, but just to kind of see what we did on Monday, so we had a move lower. Okay, on Wednesday we took out that low, and then you can see how we've been bullish ever since. Okay, so zooming out, you can see that. Whoops. So this could have been a higher time frame entry. If I just clear my charts up a little bit, this is an LB here. Okay, and we induced buyers, and then we trapped them. Okay, you could have taken a higher time frame entry here on Wednesday, but let's just go through NQ on a daily basis. So let's just look at where we opened up. All right, cool. So because we induced buyers, you can see how we would be looking for shorts to these lows here. Okay, why these lows? Let me just clear my chart so you guys can see it. We have a build up of liquidity at these lows, as you can see. So this is the area I'd be targeting. Okay, why? Because we induced buyers. Okay, now on Thursday we had that massive drop up. We started inducing buyers. Okay, and so let's go to lower time frames to see this. Okay, so on Monday you can see how we opened up and we've just built liquidity to the downside. Okay, we come and take this high and we respect this area to the left, so I'll just put that here. This is an LB. If you were short, like you had a bias that straight away we would short, this could have been an LB to trade from, because I'll show you why. Whoops. So this is an LB. Notice how we induce sellers and then we come up to trap them. Okay, so we come up to trap them, and then if we go down to lower time frames, just watch this. So we're trading from an LB, so what you've basically done is formed another LB. So I'll just mark that out from the low to the high. We induce sellers from this area. We've induced buyers. Okay, and then notice how we come and take out that inducement high. So if you were short, okay, straight away on Monday, not that I would take anything, especially at this time, that could have been a short you would have taken, but not something I'd ever take. Okay, so that was Monday. Okay, and then you can see how we have a clear target to the lows. So even though this is at an extreme, okay, price can take that out, so I'd be wary about taking a trade there. But look what we do on Tuesday. So we come all the way down into this area. Okay, remember, anything to the left on this leg is false. It should give us false reactions, even though this is an LB. Okay, look what we do. Let's zoom into this price action here. This was super clean as well. So we come into this area, we move away. How do we do that? We break structure to the upside. Okay, so we break structure to the upside. That's sellers induced, sellers trapped. Okay, now we have buyers induced. Now, just based off this time frame, you can see how there's an LB. Okay, so just keep an eye out. We start to induce lower, early sellers being induced, coming back into this area. Buyers come up, buyers trapped. Okay, now I believe, yeah, I took my entry pre stock open. Okay, because I just like to do that sometimes. Not that you should, because it's very much a kind of like a red news event when we open. But I was confident that we was gonna move to these lows, so I took it to, yeah, these lows here. Did I take it? Yeah, to these lows. And if we go down to lower time frames, there was a confirmation entry here because we form another LB. So look, we had sellers induced and then we trapped them at this high here. This high here we took out and trapped them. So what did we form? We formed an LB. Okay, now sellers were induced. Look what we did exactly at New York open. Okay, we opened, we moved lower, respected this whole area, moved back up. Okay, anything above this high is an entry. Okay, so I'll just put that there. So anything above that high, covering the LB, and then you have this whole target. And now I would have just held, especially on a futures firm, to those lows. I'll zoom out so you guys can see. Okay, so could have held all the way to these lows. Okay, I would have partialed here and then left a runner to these lows here. Okay, and that was on Tuesday. So really clean shorts down. Now look how the market reacted, moved back up. Okay, yeah, nothing on, obviously this is Asia. Okay, we come into London. I mean, just straight off the 15-minute, if you know where we want to take this point out, this is an LB. I think this is during London though. You can see how we come into this LB. Okay, and then we induce sellers and then trap them. So I'll go to the 5 minutes so you can see this a little bit clearer. So we induce sellers here. Whoops, let me zoom in so you guys can see this properly. So we induce sellers from this area. We come up, trap them, okay, and as soon as we trap those sellers, stops above, targeting those lows. Again, not a clean setup, but one definitely you could have taken. Okay, for a 6.6. So once that level of liquidity is now taken, okay, we have now trapped buyers, induced sellers. Okay, so we trap buyers, induce sellers. So if we go to a higher time frame and have a look at where we are, okay, so I'll just zoom in, zoom out, sorry. So that's where you could have taken that higher time frame buy, because we have that LB to the left. Okay, but you can see how on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we were looking for shorts to that point of liquidity, and then once we've trapped those buyers, we can now look to trade the other way. Okay, look at the liquidity, it's left to the highs. So if we break this down, So this was Wednesday. Okay, we come up, respect this area, move all the way back down. Okay, nothing clean here to be honest, and then we start moving away. So this is Thursday Asia. Okay, Thursday stock open, we induce higher, we come back down. Oh, this is something that I took actually, I just realized. So alright, let's just clear the charts. Right, so now anything to the left should be false in my opinion, because we've taken the lows to the left. So we've got a bullish bias. Okay, we come into this area, respect it and move away. We also have an LB here. So if I just take to show you guys the LB. Okay, we induce higher. Again, this is clean in my opinion. And then we come and take that inducement low. Okay, stops below. Why is that the inducement low? Because look at where we reacted from. Look at where we induced buyers from. Okay, so we take out that low. Now I would have taken this. I mean, I think we're super bullish. I mean, all that liquidity above, I would take this partial at that structural high, and then I would take this all the way to these highs here for sure. Okay, now that was I believe Abbott's in this from this low, from this wick. Nonetheless, we come higher. So on that was on Thursday, so we come higher, we respect this whole area, now we take out this high from the left, inducing buyers, and I think I caught a short here, so I'll just remove that. This is counter bias obviously, but I think I did take a short here. Yeah, I did, because Trump spoke on Friday. So basically we took out that high, forming an LB. So we formed that LB. Once we formed that LB, all I looked for was a trap into there. So we induced lower, we came up and took out that high. So I was in a short from here, and I was just risking my week's profit. I had 1 mini on there, I'm not gonna lie, and I was just looking at this build up here to the lows, which I believe as soon as Trump spoke, which was around here, could have even taken it once that high was taken as well. Okay, so this high, let me mark it out so you can see. Then risky, and then literally wicked all the way down. Okay, now as soon as we wicked down, so I took that short. Okay, but as soon as we wick down, look at what we have to the left. We have an LB. Okay, price induced buyers. Okay, we've induced buyers. We took out this high to the left, and we've just trapped them here. Literally any buy below that low, covering this as your LB, and I would just ride it again, same to the highs. I'd be targeting all the highs all the way above. Okay, all of these highs. This could be a very, very good swing position on NQ. I am bullish on the indices. Okay, you can see how we have loads of highs left intact. Even just to these highs here is amazing, to be honest. And then I think maybe we even go back to all-time highs from here. Who knows? The daily is looking seriously bullish. Look at that. Induced lower. And then we're coming for all of these highs. Notice how we have relative equals there as well. Man, what a trade that would be. What a trade that would be. And that was NQ. That was NQ, guys. No, Riz, you're just we don't trade none of that. Okay. Yeah. I'll look at RTY because I was looking at this today. I was shocked. It was so clean. Okay, and that was pretty much NQ and gold. Any questions or assets you guys want me to look at before I go through some stuff that I've been looking at? What time do you trade New York? I trade from stock open, but gold I trade whenever, to be honest. And I'm GMT London. Yes, could you let me know the purpose of this? It's just how I'll mark out my liquidity block. How do you plan any trade you want to take? LB. So an LB forms. I then look for a build up, trap. Boom. There's my trade. I just mark my LB using the tool. There's nothing special about it. Like, honestly, it's just nice for me to see and observe it. Okay. All right, cool. Another asset that I was looking at is it's called RTY. It's on the futures that you trade this. I have everything marked up already, so I can just go through it. I think it's called the Russell 2000 Index Futures for those that want to see it. This is where I really went into looking at it for the whole week. Okay. So if we look at it from like the daily time frame, the reason I want to go through this is because there's lots of points of liquidity that we can map out beforehand. So you can see how we come into this area multiple times. Okay, so that's an area of liquidity I would mark out. We've induced buyers. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for sells into that liquidity. Now, what did we do? If I just go through it on a daily basis, you can see all the trades I've mapped out here. Okay. So, because we induced sellers here, okay, and we left that inducement high intact. Okay. So if you look at this high to the left, we came into it. So just zoom in. So look how we came into it. We respected it and moved away. We come and take out this low from the left. If I go to the 1 minute, you should be able to see it even better. I don't want you guys to be confused. Let me just go to the 1 minute from here. Yeah, so you could have taken a long on Monday to that liquidity, so to that high. Why? Because we induce higher. So look at if I zoom all the way in, we induce higher through this break of structure. We come back down to the low, respect it, okay, and then we trap. This forms an LB, so price shouldn't come lower than here. And then once I've formed my LB, I'm looking for a trap. Notice how we start to induce buyers, and then what we do is we come down to trap them. That's where the entry is, and then we've got liquidity to target. So I would have taken that high, taken it to that high. That's for a 1 to 5.6. So that was a trade on Monday that was valid. And then remember how I said that we are bearish. Okay, so price then takes out that high. Look at this build up we have all the way through Asia on Tuesday, and then we come all the way up. Look at all this buyer liquidity on London session. We come and take that high, okay, inducing buyers. So if I go all the way to the 5 minute, this will look even better. So look at this, we induce sellers. London comes and takes all of that out. Okay, this is before stock open. Nothing here, no entry. We open on Tuesday, stock open, induce higher. Okay, nothing that I saw there worth that was valid, and we start to sell off. Now, where are we selling off to? Remember what I plotted out? These lows to the left. Now, look at this here, okay? We come into this low, we respect it, and we move away, okay? By moving away and breaking structure to the upside, we've now induced buyers, okay? This, now, if I go again to the 1 minute to show this, where were we? Yeah, we were here. So we've induced buyers, okay, through this breaker structure here, this red line. We come back down to these lows, we respect it, okay, and we basically induce sellers and then trap them, okay. So this whole area is basically an LB. Anywhere where we basically trap again. So look, we induced sellers and then we come up to trap them, okay. Anywhere here, this is kind of like the PM session, you could have carried on those shorts all the way down, okay. So I'll go back to the 5 minute so you guys can see that. So you can see that short, okay, all the way down to the lows. Now what do? We on Wednesday start to respect these lows. This is something that I'd recommend everyone goes back and back tests. We respect these lows, okay. We come all the way back up, induce higher once more, but there's still liquidity above, so I'm not sure if that's going to hold, especially in live time. So what do you wait for? You wait for another liquidity block. So sellers induced, sellers trapped. There's my liquidity block that's formed. What am I looking for after that? I'm looking for a trap. So sellers induced, sellers trapped. There's my entry covering the SL above, and then I'm targeting these lows. I'll partial here because it's, when was this? This was during like pre-London / Asia. Not that you'll take it, but just showing you what's possible. Partial at the lows and then hold all the way down, okay, all the way down to the lows, okay. And look how we get to that liquidity point. So now we've trapped buyers, induced sellers. So what are we looking to do now? Okay, we're looking to trade the other way. Look at the liquidity we've built to the highs, okay, and we come up, we take those highs. There wasn't any entry that I could see on the way up on Thursday and Friday. However, once we take those highs, okay, and we've left liquidity below, on Friday, look at what we do. So taking those highs forms a LB. I literally look for a trap, okay. We come into that exactly at stock open, okay. We come into that LB, and you could have taken that short. I mean, I was not looking at this pair whatsoever, but from there to there in like three candles, 3 5-minute candles, so in 15 minutes to those lows, okay. And then once we come and take out all of these buyers, we have that LB below which we bounce from again, and then you would have taken that long all the way back up. And I was just marking out what's possible. So once we're in this LB area, look at what we have at the highs, okay. We have liquidity at these highs here, yeah. So look, we've taken out these lows, so we're looking to take out these highs. So if you got in here, you would have been holding all the way to these highs here. But yeah, very clean stuff here, and it's really nice to see the way this asset has been playing out as well. Yeah, pretty much. No, I've never traded the Russell 2000, you know. I've never entered a position. I might look at it going into this week. Okay, cool. Any other questions? And I posted this in the monthly members chart on Solana on Friday. I'm not sure if anyone's looked at that, but yeah, I had this marked out here on Friday. Wait, wrong side, sorry. So on Friday, this was super clean. Look at this liquidity level that we had left. Okay, so we bounced into this area multiple times. Okay, we induced higher, so we took out this high, we had a pullback, and then we induced higher once more. So this is like London session. I'll zoom out so you guys can see what I was waiting for. So if I just take out all of these highs, yeah, so we've induced buyers. Yeah, so look how what we did before, we induced sellers, okay, through this breaker structure, and then we come up and we trap. Okay, so we induce higher. That whole area is now an LB. Okay, and to show you the level that we can even get to, look how we induce higher after that once more. We have early sellers getting in, so think of that, a breaker structure. We respect this area below, we come all the way back up and we trap. Look at where we had that build up from. That would be entry number 1, and then this is now an LB. Notice how we stay above this low. Yeah, this is the low that took out that high. We respect it, move away, take out this internal, entry number 2. So this is how you would have positioned yourself, and you would have just held it to target. So entry number 1 and entry number 2. Yeah, so that was just on Solana. That was just nice to see. Nice to see price action and our model just playing out to perfection. So really nice stuff. Right, now it's time for questions. Let's go. If I missed your question, just put the question back down in the chat. Yeah, you want to see a build up of liquidity. After watching the IET course, case studies, and now the webinars, what should we watch next? I mean, it's not about like an order. If you've understood everything, start forecasting, applying it to the charts. GABA. Now, would that be an invalid trade because after the liquidity, we made a BOS to the upside, even though the build-up is above? We would have to wait for the circled low to go. Yeah, that would be higher probability. However, you look at where the build-up is. So where you've marked out that build-up, once that low goes and you have a place to put your stop loss, like an LB, you can take that trade. I would say forward testing. LBs to be with structure, but it turns out they are valid. What do you think I should do? Look at all the mentors' trades and see if it aligns with yours. Which LBs you think are more solid ones? I can show you. So an LB, I'll go with, how should I draw this? Okay, so all an LB is, number one, this is just a bullish LB where we induce buyers and then we trap them. Okay, that could be a candle. Okay, that could be an area. This is now an LB. This whole area is an LB. We shouldn't see price go below there. So a high probability LB is something like this. So I'll put that there, and then I'll keep the same thing on a lower time frame so you can see it. We come to the low, induce higher, then lower. Just bear with me while I show this. Okay, so just keeping that on the left and on this on the right. Okay, if we have a reaction that breaks structure, so what I mean by that is this. If we have this reaction, so we break structure and then we trap, that is higher probable. That's a nice LB. Okay, now if you're not confident with the first LB that forms, you can then wait for a second one. Now obviously we're not psychic. Sometimes the market doesn't provide that second LB, but you can wait for that second LB to form. As long as we stay below that high, okay, and then we induce trap into that LB, you can take that buy position. So that's what it looks like from a buy. And if I just invert my scale so you can see, that's what it looks like for a sell. So we induce lower, come back and trap. That's an LB. Okay, so these are two diagrams that you can use to apply to liquidity block logic. Okay, I'm hoping that answered your question. Yeah, correct, Vicky. I just explained why the one on the right is higher probable. Look, think about it. Look at the react. So this one just induces and then traps on the left. On the right, we induce higher, we respect the low, induce higher once more, and then trap. This reaction here is really important to see. Okay. Exactly. Azeno, the one. Yeah, you're right. I'm hoping LBs are not difficult. If you look at the way I've been, let's now look at a chart example of this. Let me clear all my charts. Let's look at a chart example of this. We'll go to NQ because it's my favorite pair. All right, so there's LBs everywhere. Okay, you will find LBs everywhere. Now, what do I mean about the ones I've been talking about? Okay, so let's just look at a liquidity block. Here's a perfect example. All right, watch this. So notice how we induce lower, okay, and then we come up and we trap. This whole wick on the higher time frame is exactly what I've shown in the diagram, because if I go down to lower time frames now and find that, okay, so this is an example of the one on the left. So hold on. So we induce lower. Whoops. Can everyone see that? So we had this breaker structure lower, and then we come up and take out that high straight away. Okay, so that's the example on the diagram of the left that I've shown you. So this is now an LB. Notice how I can take it as an area or a candle. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's say I take it as the candle that took the high. If I look now, see how we tap into it and we move away. Okay, so that's an example of an LB. Now, if I was to look at one that's an example on the right, okay, so here's an example of one on the right. Let me go back to the H1 so you guys can see this. Oops. Okay, now look at this one here. Okay, we have, I'm going to mark out the LB so you can see why this one's higher probability. Okay, right, remember what I said, price can come into this area, induces, okay, so it induces and then traps. Okay, now look, before we take that trap, look at the reaction. Okay, this gives me confidence when we see this before it takes the trap. Okay, before it takes that buyer liquidity, look what it does beforehand. You see how I see that breaker structure to the upside? Once it takes that, okay, that takes that and then traps, look at the reaction you get. Those are higher probability LBs. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ray, a wick to the high is a breaker structure. Yeah. Yeah, an external lower high doesn't need to be taken to make it an LB. Okay, an LB can be formed just through internal structure being taken. Yeah. Yeah, you can play this back if you're a lifetime member, I believe. After it induces, doesn't the LB become liquidity too? Yeah, once we've moved away, we now have liquidity below it. It doesn't mean the market's going to come and hunt that straight away. What's that, Ray? What's that? I'm going to give everyone 5 more minutes to put their questions in. Yeah, external doesn't need to be taken. And if you look at the case studies and the webinars, we don't always wait for external to be taken. Otherwise, we'd be waiting like months to take a trade. Yeah, it could be internal as well. Yeah, correct, Riz. Correct. That's what us as mentors have been stressing. You have to apply logic to the charts. You can't just try to apply it as a pattern. And if we go back to what I was just saying with LBs, actually, did I not have the drawings here? I'm sure I did, right? No? Oh, can't find the drawings. Is it on NQ? No. Okay. So let me just clarify something before we finish off. So what I was basically trying to say is if we have a level of liquidity, okay, and we come into this, I want to see a breaker structure before and then the liquidity taken. Okay, once that liquidity is now taken, you don't want to get in straight away. You want to see an LB form. Okay, so just to highlight here, before the liquidity is taken. This can be intraday, this can be higher time frame, but this is what's amazing about this model, is fractal. So we break structure and then we trap those buyers, and we also take the liquidity from the left. We then wait for an LB to form. Okay, now this can be a wick, okay, on the H1, or it could be the candles on the lower time frame. Now what I like to do is I like to mark this out. So this would be my like liquidity block, and then all I do is I wait. And that's the beauty of trading. You just got to be patient. I wait for a trap. It could be after one candle. I literally just wait for a trap into that liquidity block, and there is my long entry. Go and test this, okay? And then I target whatever liquidity, whether it's internal we have, okay, or we have external to the highs. I will target that, okay? I'm hoping that makes sense to everyone. Yeah, okay. If I'm collecting data on the buyers, if price breaks structure to the upside and higher time frame, and I'm taking buys above H4 or daily highs, why would you be taking buys above H4 or daily highs? It makes no sense. Yeah, I repeat, yeah, you see this diagram here, I'll even flip it so you guys can see the other side of it, so the short. So look, oh, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does, sorry. So before the liquidity is taken, we induce lower, and then we trap. We then form another LB. So this is now your LB. I wait for a build up, trap back into it, and then I take that. Okay, that's what I look for week in, week out. Okay, this is not a pattern. You cannot trade this as a pattern. Okay, this will wreck you if you try to trade it as a pattern. What is the logic behind this? The logic is that we induced sellers. We now have liquidity above. We then trap them. Liquidity is now taken. All of that money is now collected. We then have these early sellers who try to catch the reversal. They get taken out. You now have a price where liquidity should not, price should not run. So you can mark that as a candle or a wick, whatever is easier. You then have early sellers trying to get in. Why do we have early sellers trying to get in? They've seen this breaker structure to the upside. These are breakout traders. These are reversal traders. Okay, they then get wrecked. They get taken out. Now we have all participants taken out, and the market will make its expansion. It will make its move down and hunt for that liquidity. Okay, that's the logic behind this. Okay. It doesn't need to, Gabba. Taking out an internal high is still a breaker structure. Yeah? It doesn't need to take that high to be a breaker structure. Okay? It doesn't need to do that. Yeah? Okay, guys, I think that's pretty much it from me. I appreciate you, Lawrence. Yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Let me just make sure that the recording is